Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Reluctant Leader Podcast. I'm Paul Jenkins. I'm your host. And today I want to talk about something that, honestly, affects almost every area of our lives. How do we actually measure progress in a healthy way, right? Because if we measure growth the wrong way, we'll eventually convince ourselves that we're not making any progress at all. Even worse, we'll convince ourselves that we're failing, even when we might actually be getting stronger. Let's talk about getting stronger quietly. I've been thinking a lot about this lately because of my personal training. I haven't shared this with a ton of people, but I turned 60 this year, and part of what I want to do to celebrate that is run an ultra marathon in the fall. And I want to run at least 60 miles, right? Now, that sounds really inspiring until you wake up sore. You realize that, every time you bend down, your knees make a sound that you never heard before. And who knew, right, that there was a soundtrack to getting older? But there is. And one of the strange things about training is this. If I measure progress day by day, I find that I get discouraged really quickly. There are just some mornings where I look in the mirror and I don't see a lot of change. Some runs that shouldn't feel hard do. And some weeks my pace doesn't really improve. There are days when I think, am I actually even getting stronger at all? But then, listen, if I zoom out, a month ago, a certain hill wrecked me and now it doesn't. My recovery time is improving. My endurance, the distance that I can cover, is growing. My heart gets stronger. I notice a dip in my resting heart rate, and most of that growth happens quietly. And I think spiritual growth works the exact same way. We live in a culture that is obsessed with instant results. Everything is measured immediately. How many followers do I have? How many views did that video get? How many likes did that post receive? What about attendance at church, productivity at work, weight loss, income increase, platform size? We've built entire lives around dashboards and metrics. And if we are not careful, y'all, we'll start measuring our souls the same way we measure social media. But the deepest kinds of growth usually do not happen instantly. There is no overnight success. That kind of growth happens slowly and quietly underground. Let's go back and think about physical training just for a second, right? Healthy change rarely shows up dramatically overnight. Muscles rebuild slowly. Your lungs adapt slowly. Your cardiovascular strength, it strengthens slowly. You don't become healthy because of one workout. You become healthy because of consistent rhythms repeated over time. And y'all, spiritual formation works just like that. Most spiritual growth is not flashy. Usually, it looks more like this. You find that suddenly you're able to recover from disappointment faster than you used to, or you don't react as explosively as you once did. You find that you're becoming more patient with difficult people. You apologize quicker. You compare yourself to others less. You rest now without guilt a little more easily. You're less driven by the need to prove yourself. You trust God more deeply than you did a year ago. Y'all, that's growth. But because it's not dramatic, We tend to overlook it. We tend to think that transformation has to feel massive. But honestly, formation is usually boring before it becomes beautiful. And I think one of the dangers in leadership, especially ministry leadership, and I'm talking to a lot of ministry leaders today, is that we start measuring all the wrong things. We ask, how many people showed up today? How much did we grow today? How visible is our success? But maybe healthier questions are different. Maybe healthier questions sound more like this. Am I becoming more loving? Am I becoming more emotionally healthy? Am I able to be more present with people? Am I leading from peace more than from anxiety? Am I becoming more rooted in Christ? Because y'all, some things can count even when they can't actually be counted. Jesus talked about this. I love this section in Mark chapter 4. He tells this parable about a farmer who goes out and scatters seed. And then Jesus says that the seed sprouts and grows. And this is what he says, even though the farmer does not know how. I love that, y'all. The kingdom grows in ways that we often cannot immediately measure or even explain. God is doing work underneath the surface long before fruit becomes visible above the ground. That's true, y'all, in your spiritual life. That's true in your leadership. That's true in your relationships. It's true in healing. And honestly, it's true for me in running right now too. There are workouts that don't feel productive at all until months later when suddenly you realize that you can handle what used to crush you. And maybe that's where some of you are right now. Maybe you're frustrated because you just don't see dramatic change. You worked out a lot last week and stepped on the scale and found that you had gained weight. You're still fighting anxiety. You're still working on your marriage. You're still trying to grow spiritually. You're still trying to become healthier emotionally, still trying to lead well. And you feel discouraged because the progress feels slow. But y'all, slow growth is still growth. Trees grow slowly too. Roots develop underground before fruit appears above the ground. And y'all, the older I get, the more I'm realizing this truth. The goal isn't becoming impressive. The goal is becoming whole. God is usually more interested in deep roots than fast results. So don't quit just because transformation feels quiet. Don't despise small progress. Don't overlook steady faithfulness. You might not notice dramatic change today, but I promise you this, if you keep walking with Jesus, if you keep showing up, if you just keep surrendering, healing, training, one day you're suddenly going to realize your heart got stronger and you can handle more than you ever thought you could. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the Reluctant Leader Podcast. As always, if this has encouraged you, I pray that you will share it with somebody who needs the same encouragement. And that you'll keep walking with Jesus, trusting that you are who he says you are. And as always, keep giving God your best and then trust him with